Gentlemen, my name is Dominic here, and I'm the event chair at Focus. Today, 25th of November, 4 p.m., we are kickstarting this program called Agni Suraksha per Charcha, Fire Safety per Charcha. This is the sixth edition that we are conducting, and the chapter which is hosting is Kerala. I want to thank all my panelists, the guests today, especially the sponsor, Orient Fire, Arman Shakti Fire, AIS, for joining hands for all the series across the country.
Right.
So we have covered probably over 5,000 people in the last five session. Kerala being the God's own country, we thought, let's do it at the last. So God blessing will upon us every day, every time, every year. So to begin, we have our president, Mr. V. Suresh, and he's also the former chairman of IGBC and vice chairman of National Building Code. I don't think we need elaborate introduction of Suresh when it comes to construction. He is the highs and the years of the construction industry with rich experience in HUDCO, IGBC, Naretco, whatnot. So all the best of awards that he has been received. And we all at Focus are blessed to have him as a leader to drive us to the next level. So thank you, sir, for joining us. And we have our moderator who tirelessly advocating the need of the pacifier protection, especially testing and compliance. How do you know the pacifier product works? The promise that you make. So he's been tirelessly doing it. I know how he drives it. God only knows the kind of energy that he has. Anyway, thank you, Abhishek, for initiating this series of webinar. And we at Focus are blessed to have you as a vice chairman on the pacifier side. And again, once again, you're the face in India when it comes to pacifier. You're there in speaking in every occasion across India. And again, I don't like to introduce elaborately. Everybody knows who is. We don't need to introduce Sachin Tendulkar in the cricket. So it's like that. So it's here. We are so blessed to have our chairman of Kerala chapter, Professor, Architect B.R. Ajit. Wonderful human being with so much of experience in architecture, the kind of project that has been executed and continue to execute. And he's driving a very well-known college called ASADI, Asian School of Architecture and Design Innovation. People who have not visited ASADI must visit ASADI. It's a very rare college that you'll see in architecture. Walk through that entire campus. Walk through this special auditorium, which is 150-volt in a structure that is broken and brought into his campus. And he is also the chairman of IGBC and many awards from Oxford, international awards, a Lifetime Business Achievement Award in 2018, many awards. So we are all blessed to have him as the leader in the Focus, and he's driving one of the most active chapter under the leadership of Architect Ajit and our vice chairman, Vinod Kumar. Sir,
I think, you've forgotten the chairman of the Indian Store Architects. He held it a very important architectural profession for Kerala. So he's not only IAA, IGBC, also Focus. So yes, 3 in 1. Great. Okay.
So he gave me his profile, which is around 3 to 4 page. So I need to compress that. My apologies to compress your such a long profile.
No, IAA is important. Profession.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, once again. And here is our vice chairman of Focus Kerala chapter, very passionate and a great leader to have. And Vinod is a MEP consultant. He has his own VBG consulting engineer and also advisor consultant to Rajagiri Hospital. I heard that he just got the JCA accreditation for the Rajagiri Hospital, 5 days, grilling on the various assessment that they conducted. And I believe passive fire is one of the main subjects when it comes to fire. I'm sure Abhishek is also too happy to hear that. Rajagiri Hospital, following all the passive protection compartmentalization in the hospital. So a good friend of ours, and again, he wears a lot of caps, Kaho, Chief Engineer, Chairman, and many forum. Vinod is there. Thank you very much, Vinod, for joining, and welcome you once again. And we have as a builder and a developer, K. Anil Verma. Is I am Bangalore, the city I belong to, and he has worked under every builder in the South India until 1996. He's also a member of the Cochin Gymkhana Club, Engineering Club, Tripura Cricket Club, RSC Regional Sport. Look like he's a sports adventure. I'm sure, sir, you've been watching the football matches, and Middle East is hosting a we would like to see Asian country winning this World Cup. That's what the ambitions. And you've been member of most of the sports club in Kerala. I know you're a fan of football too. And again, welcome, sir. And you are heading the Credai Kochi, and I'm sure that you will add a lot of value to this whole webinar today. Once we complete, we're going to work together with you. We need your guidance. We need your blessing. How, as a focus, the body, we can work with Credai Kerala and infuse the integrated approach towards resilient building. We need your blessing, and thank you very much. And my friend, Mr. Prasad EB, the former Director Technical Kerala Fire Services and Fire Officer of SBI. He's an expert on the fire subject. And he was, as I said, he was a technical director. He ensured that many acts is rolled out during his time in Kerala Fire. Now, one of the state which has a very few fire incidents in the country. Kerala has the lowest fire incidents. So thanks to Prasad for driving that.
Yes.
And I was chatting with, I think, Sureng Hall, we are chatting with many officers. They all know, most of them know the subject quite well, and they're all happy to see that compartmentalism implementation as per the National Building Code happens in Kerala. So thank you, Prasad sir, for joining, and let's move on to our
and his new cap, Dominic, he's wearing a new cap. He's now a user.
As a user, State Bank of India, the fire officer.
Yeah.
So we were chatting yesterday. So he was telling Abhishek that every branch, every regional officers follow stringent NBC, and they also have a very effective passive fire protection system in the bank and the regional offices and the head office in Mumbai.
Okay.
Welcome, sir. And we have our the last panelist, Mr. Lekat Ali Khan, the chairman of Fire of Focus, who will be doing the vote of thanks today. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's a brief about our panelists, and I would like to show you the short video of Focus. Shilpa, can you play the video, please? Shilpa, can you play the video?
We are delighted to present to you the Forum of Critical Utility Services, the acronym of which is FOCUS. Much as the acronym suggests, the role of the Forum of Critical Utility Services is to bring in focus all that concerns the construction industry. This is not just for India, but for a coordinated construction industry world over. For those of you who may not be aware, this initiative is to prepare and present a platform where all the verticals of the critical utility services of the construction industry forge into one formidable group that will strive in building unity, aid in diffusing misconceptions, and present itself as a platform for discussions amongst these bodies of professionals. Our efforts begin with drawing the strength from the fields of architecture, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, safety, fire, security, illumination, vertical transportation, IBMS and IT, solid waste management, and last but not the least, facility management. Bring them together and forge them into one strong wheel of change to deliver structures that stand in harmony with Mother Nature on planet Earth. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is our mission. Only when we come together and share our ideas and aspirations will we find the stumbling blocks. It is here then that when we are together and focus towards one goal, we will jointly be able to understand and address our challenges as one formidable force. And this is our vision. Our invitation to you is open. Come and become a part of Focus. It is your contribution and support to Focus that will make a difference to the new India that is being created. Let's join and make this the Bharat that we wear. Shining, prosperous, bright, and a true world leader.
Very good.
Thank you, sir. Now I welcome our President of Focus, Mr. V. Suresh, to give a welcome address, followed by opening remarks by Architect Ajit for a few minutes. Sir, over to you, sir.
Yeah. Such a great pleasure to welcome all the distinguished participants and the panelists who are all joined today for this great program that we have on compartmentalization and all the fire safety and life safety issues thereof. I'm very grateful to all the panelists and the moderator Abhishek, who joined Chabraji, who was joined from Goa. From Dubai, and all our other panelists, the names of which have been told by Dominic. Equally, I wouldn't take time to repeat that. But for me, as the president of Focus, it's a great opportunity to welcome each one of you, because the series of initiatives that you have done, especially on this topic on compartmentalization, this is the sixth and the last one in that particular series on which we have done this with so much amount of enthusiasm and reception and also participation from the builders and the fire industry, protection industry. We have gone zone by zone and region by region, and we have been able to really put across this message in a good way to not only to the builders, developers, and government, who are the people who are going to develop projects over there, and to all the multidisciplinary professions who are architects and civil engineers and the fire protection engineers and the MEP team members who are to put their act together in a coordinated, integrated manner to work together, and the fire protection officials and the consultants as well as the contractors to create the right level of environment to make the compartments work in a good way in terms of the right technologies to be put into over there, and how exactly you get details of that in a very large way. And I'm indeed very, very grateful. And in every state, we also got the participation from the enforcement agency, which are the state fire service people. Whichever state we have gone, we got the leaders of the enforcement group. There are two components required in the whole topic, and that is the whole National Building Code as a basis for our work, which covers all this information. So you've got the compliance to be done by all the user agencies plus all the professionals. That's one side. And the enforcement to be done by the fire regulatory authorities. And therefore, it's a good combination of compliance and the enforcement put together that will make our workplace safer. And I'm very happy Focus has grown in a very large way in the 2 years time period, and just got the imagination, as Abhishek told just little before the meeting started. It's one of the rare forums in the international context for providing a platform to all concerned vertical agencies dealing with the critical utilities. You don't get the critical utilities, building doesn't work. You can have the best architecture, best structural design, safe building, but without all the services working on that, building can't be functional. So a place where it worked to coordinate together, and I'm very happy. A special welcome to all the participants. I'll be giving my own version on what are the important topics of interest once moderator takes over and makes all the panelists to put forward the interest. On my side, I want to thank everybody for coming, and for all the chapters, like Kerala chapter has done the leadership here, to both Ajit and we are happy that we are having the Vinod and the whole team there. Kerala chapter is one of the very active chapters of Focus here. I want to thank each one of them, and plus all the other 5 chapters who did the remaining earlier. And we will continue to generate interest among Focus and the participants and the industry on live topics of this nature, which has caught the imagination of everybody. I would like to stop at this point of time Let's proceed with the session now. As Dominic has said, we'd like to hear from the chairman of the Cochin Kerala chapter, Ajit.
Thank you very much, dear Suresh. It's fantastic. I would like to, on behalf of the Kerala chapter, I would like to, of course, even though he's a national chairman, I would like to welcome Suresh. Of course, today's star of the evening, Abhishek, and of course, my vice chairman, Vinod and Prasad and Anil, who is a very leading builder in Kerala now, and most importantly, Dominic, who is coordinating Central session. Welcome all of you. See, we always used to say, every time and all the time, we used to say that prevention is better than cure. But that is a watchword. In fact, everything, any place you say prevent rather than try to cure. I think compartmentalization is probably one of the best examples of prevention rather than cure. Because when you compartmentalize fire, you ensure that the fire do not spread to another part of it. It's a very important thing. The most important thing is that when you do that, you save the building, you save the inhabitants, you save the entire problems that can happen after that. So I think I'm very happy. I thank Dominic and I thank the rest of the people of the focus to have given Kerala this opportunity to host this program. My friends, actually, many of the architects whom I talked to, many of the builders I talked to, and I think already most of them are already here. And I think it is swelling from 13 is now is 63 participants. I'm sure it should reach 200 before it closes. I'm very confident about it because we always a lot of people are coming in. So my request to every participant who is coming and listen to this, architects, especially architects, my dear friends, this is a new area which has not been exploited to the extent it should have been before. Why I'm saying it? Because we have been talking about cures. We are talking about what happens once a fire comes in. We have been talking about sprinklers. We have been talking about various other ways through. We are talking about several staircases. In fact, Kerala's building code has been improved and developed recently based on the National Building Code, and something more has been added. The number of stairs and the width of the stairs, the total width of the stairs is also become a very important element in this thing. But all these are part of once the fire spreads. So if the fire do not spread, then that is the best thing which we can do. I'm sure that Abhishek, with his intense experience, immense knowledge on this aspect, I'm sure will give us a lot of views. So I request all the architects and other participants who are present here, note down, make notes of how we can all get involved, how we can create a new fire-free India. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I would like to acknowledge on this occasion our knowledge partner, Thomas Will Wright, who has been with us from the starting of the series, and they have been contributing a lot for focus, especially on the compliance and certification. Thank you, Thomas Will Wright, for being the knowledge partner, and also Kao, who's also associated with every program that we do, and Fire Safe India Foundation. And also our sponsors, Fire Curtain, Orient Fire Curtain, we have Orman and ASI Pyrobel. Today, before we hand over to Abhishek, the moderator, I would like to play our Orient Fire Curtains video, who's been the principal sponsor of this whole program. Shilpa, could you please play Orient Fire just for I think just a 2 minutes video? Can you play that video, please?
Orient Fire Curtains is an Indo-British joint venture operating in India since 2013. Orient Fire Curtains has successfully executed more than 300 projects pan-India basis. This totals to about 3,500 fire curtains till date. Double-barrel curtain with overlap for easy access. Basement car park compartmentation Office compartmentation. Staircase escalator compartmentation with corner support. Open kitchen compartmentation without corner support. Staircase escalator compartmentation without corner support.
You're on mute, Dominic.
Oh, thank you, Shilpa, for playing that video. Before I hand over to Abhishek, I request all the participants, there is a Q&A box there. So put all your questions, not on the chat box, so that your questions goes on record. So put it on the Q&A. It will help the moderator to pick up these questions. It's important to everyone. Once the discussion is over, let's make it informal, very informative. Let's put all your questions and should be related to the subject only. Over to Abhishek. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone, and a big warm welcome. Really excited, honored to be steering this very august panel over 200 plus years of experience right here in front of us. So this is fantastic beginning. I'm going to jump in straight away to give you a background, quick background. What are we talking about today? We are talking about passive fire protection, one of the key elements of fire protection, which inherently, passively, with its own attributes, protects lives and properties. Yes. We are talking about the ability of a building to compartmentalize and what I call suffocate the fire, irrespective of the ability of any other mechanism in place. And like the brake of a moving car and the seat belt in parallel protect people in the car, the active fire protection systems, which is the detection, the sprinklers, etc., and the passive fire protection systems work hand in hand. And the failure and success of both these mechanisms have an equal probability of functioning. But in the context of India and many other parts of the world, it is known that something which may be relying on electricity, on power, on water, on chemicals, and functioning of other equipment to save lives, versus a fire-rated wall, compartment, perfectly sealed through penetrations above the false ceiling, are capable of suffocating the fire perfectly and saving lives in helping us evacuate the building or any kind of occupancy. With this kind of an overview of what are we really talking about, I want to share, before I jump to the panel and glide from the developer to the architect to the consultant, and back to someone like Suresh ji, who represents 5+ decades of experience. How is it done worldwide, internationally? And the fire and life safety of any building, whether it is a mall, an airport, a hospital, a residential building, commercial building, starts with a fire and life safety plan. There is a plan in place to make sure what all can go wrong and what are the measures in place that will ensure that fire and life safety are maintained. And this fire and life safety plan, which has to be the starting point, which takes guidance from the National Building Code and other codes and other criterias like JCI's documents and requirements for hospitals, etc., sets requirements of how much compartmentation should be where. Should you have a 2-hour fire-rated compartment or a floor, or a 30 minutes? What is the occupancy type? How far is the fire tender away? How quickly can they commit? These all add in to explain what should be the compartmentation requirements. And this fire and life safety plan becomes the blueprint to the developer, to the architect, to the contractor, to the authority having jurisdiction, who will compare and give a go-ahead to the plan. The fire department will look into the fire and life safety plan and say, these 5 things are missing. Where will my truck come in from? How can I evacuate 5,000 people if it is only rated for 60 minutes, etc. And here, after the fire department gives a NOC to build, is where the contractor comes in and tenders out the requirements of building materials, contractors, specializations, and the certification and conformity proofs, inspection proofs, provide the tools of assurance. With all of these evidences and assurances documented correctly is how the contractor gets the final NOC authorization to occupy from the fire department, which means all of these provisions which ensure fire and life safety are checked using good, correct assurance mechanisms. So with this as a quick overview, I'm going to start by pointing my guns, if I can say so, to Anil ji, and I would like to welcome Anil ji and ask him that in the current view of a developer, how is it right now in India, in Kerala, that fire safety is communicated or talked about today? Over to you, Anil ji. Looking forward to hearing from you. What is the situation in the state, in the country now?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. It's very relevant because we are having a lot of multi-storied buildings coming up, large buildings. And the fact is that there is no awareness about fire safety or any safety. Like I would say that it's like almost like driving a vehicle, a car or something without license or insurance. If you had an accident, you had it. You had to pay for that. So I think basically we should create the awareness about the fire safety. We as a builder, we do a lot of precautions about safety, including all that decks, openings, balconies, etc. But the fact is that we do with fire protection systems that is just for the compliance. That is not insisted much, or that is not looked up very much. So I think basically we should create the awareness among the public as well as the builders, the consultants, etc., to have the system in place. even what we do is we have two systems like passive and active. And the active systems are not functional at many places after handing over the apartments or the commercial buildings. It's not functional. Right now, we do have a system the government has implemented that you have to check, you have to get clearance from the fire department every year. But I think it's very seldom. I mean, many people don't do that. They don't get that. I mean, they don't want to spend the money on that and get it approved. And that's again the thing, no, like we are driving without a
fantastic. Thank you very much, Anilji, for sharing this, side that there is an importance, just like any other project in the whole world, which starts with the vision and the dream of the developer. It goes straight away for the visualization of that dream to the architect. I'm going to invite a doctor and architect Ajit ji, in the capacity of an architect, and share some of his insights based on this massive experience that he has working in the region, that how empowered the architect is. So my question to Ajit ji is that if architects do get an opportunity to mention compartmentation or pacifier when they are talking of the project, please share some insights of what is the current scheme of things in the state and in the country.
Thank you, Abhishek. See, being in the practice for almost 45 years now, and I have found one thing very interesting. Most important thing is the awareness about fire or fire hazard has become more and more effective lately. In the sense now, in the last 10 years, if you think, the average client of mine are already aware about the issues of course, regarding compartmentalization and also such things, so passive things are just getting, the people are just getting to know about it. So these sort of programs, these sort of seminars, webinars, where you have a lot of people coming and listening to it, they become very clear. So I think such seminars should continue. Number two is that when you talk to the client and you discuss with the client, and there is the money involvement, there is a financial involvement. Now, earlier, just now, you showed the Orient this thing for that. I'm sure it should be more costly, but they should know that they're paying for their life. It's very important. So this is, as an architect, we try to convince our clients, saying that you cannot play with your life. Let it be safe. Let this such sort of fires. You can finish off your family if you're staying in an apartment. It can finish off your entire friends. All this can happen, and you can also be a victim of that. So let us not look at the cost. Let us put things, and fire, more than anything else in this world, is a greatest hazard. Even if you see historical aspects, you see a lot of great projects have been burned down to the ground. So what happened? So those histories we should understand, and that is what we should make people aware. This is what we try to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Gigi. This is a very good perspective, coming from an architect, that yes, there exists an awareness, and the awareness has been increasing. I'm going to ask a question to Prasadji and Sureshji, and then circle back after I go through everybody's view, including Vinodji, on how the project moves now. And I don't know if I should call in Prasad sir first, because he's wearing two hats. He comes from this massive experience of being the brain of the fire department in Kerala, as well as now the second hat as the user or the end user. So if you don't mind, before I move to Vinod sir and tap on his expertise, I'm going to ask two questions to you, Prasad sir, and I hope you would not mind that I'm asking you two questions. The first is got to do with your old hat. Can you share that in the current scheme of things in Kerala, are there any bylaws or published requirements in the state that call for passive fire protection?
Yes, good evening, Abhishek ji. Very good question. So in Kerala, the safety measures has been ascertained by Kerala Fire Service by mainly by not only by National Building Code of India, but also these norms mentioned in Kerala Municipal Building Rules and Kerala Panchayat Building Rules
Good.
2019. So since it is a statutory document, fire service is following the bylaws, that is Kerala Municipal Building Rule. But if anything is not mentioned in Kerala Municipal Building Code, what is mentioned in National Building Code, it will be considered.
Right.
So it is a procedure. All the norms prescribed in National Building Code of India, Part 4, is being taken into consideration, and fire service had made checklist for all the categories. According to the height, occupancy, they have divided into the different categories of checklist has been made. And while preparing the checklist, utmost care has been given to give preference to the norms mentioned in building rules. For example, the staircase width and the open spaces, access width. What is mentioned in National Building Code is not taken, but what is mentioned in building rules is taken. But in other cases, what is exclusively mentioned in National Building Code of India, it is considered. Like that, where they have prepared the checklist and they have strictly monitoring the implementation also.
So then this is the continued question in the same breath, which you can answer, that while this checklist exists, and I'm going to ask you later in the second round what this checklist really is, but what is the tool or a mechanism available with the fire department? Are they trained to go and check before the handover? Like, do they check for fire-rated door labels maybe, or are they capable of doing some inspection of fire stopping? And how is it now at this stage, so that, you know, Focus as a body can invest their time to move it probably to something better if it is not really good already? So what is that mechanism right now in the fire department?
The testing mechanism is already
Echo?
upon the certification of the manufacturer of the product at testing the materials. So they are depending, for example, the fire resistance of a door or the fire dampers fitted in the AC. Everything they have gone to certification by the implementing agency.
Okay.
That is method they are implementing. Am I right?
It's very, very insightful that you have shared this. I'm going to go move towards the implementer and the user. I'm going to move towards ask this question to Vinod Kumarji. I hope I'm audible and clear. That as Vinod Kumarji, as I think you will have to unmute when I ask the question. That as a user, please share some insights that how is this implementation of pacifier or compartmentation done? So please share some examples of how this has been done correctly and very well. And I think you're very well poised to answer this question, having just faced the JCI audit. So please share some insights, sir.
Good evening, all. Thank you, Abhishek. Good question. As the first answer will be that implementation is very tough. Number one is it's expensive, so the management always says no to that. So to get through this, it's always a problem because one is the question is whether it says as per the norms. Number two, the question is whether there is any standard or are we going for an accreditation which calls for it. And then the third question is, if the norms says and the accreditation body also says do it, then the management will say, yes, let's look at it. Understood. So you go to many buildings, 99% of the buildings or many buildings, that the shafts will be left open after the service has crossed and they forget to close it. Or maybe the services have gone horizontally from one compartment to the other and they've forgotten to close it. So invariably, you will see that in many buildings. But as far as a consultant is concerned, myself being consultant and also an end user, from the hospital side. We've gone through a series of stages before which this implementation has started and implemented also. It's a tough process as far as I would say, because the thought process or the attitude has to change over a long time before which this gets implemented across the buildings in India or in the state, because it is not taken very seriously as far as I'm concerned. There will be dampers, but they may not be connected to the fire alarm system.
Oh.
Because damper is there, it will shut
That's the concern.
when the fire goes through the duct. But when if it is a combined smoke and fire damper, it will shut even before the fire comes in, because and it will also shut off the air handler because it's connected to the fire alarm and to the BMS. So do we have a connection to the fire alarm? May not be. Do we have a connection to the BMS? There is no BMS at all. So, but there is a huge change that is happening across the industry, across the consulting faculty, as well as the clients. That things are changing. And I also have been in the Middle East for a long time, having constructed the Mall of the Emirates and the Murder City Center. So it is those knowledge that have brought in here. And I've been a consultant for Rajagiri from the beginning for all their expansions. So the zoning, compartmentation, active and passive have come in a long way. And it is only possible to get a JC audit only when you have such things. Correct. So it's a long way across from the design to getting it to implementation and getting across to an accreditation at the highest level. So it's a tough process, but definitely the management, the team, they've all played a major role in getting the whole thing done. Still some more yet to be done as far as implementation is concerned. We will be implementing as some findings and observations will be coming in after the audit, and that has to be implemented according as far as the zoning or maybe compartmentation is concerned. It is happening, and I'm sure with the forum like focus and with so much of knowledge, so much of high level of attention coming from top level people, I think we will definitely come across and do what we need in terms of passive fire protection. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinodji. I'm going to move to Suresh ji and tap into more than 5 decades of experience very soon. And before I come up with a very nice question for him, I'm going to encourage all the people in the audience to please write in your questions in the Q&A section. Please throw us some googlies, some difficult questions. You have a powerful panel in front of us. And do introduce yourself, where you are from. And with that message, Suresh ji, someone who has witnessed so much change, someone who has witnessed the fire safety state of affairs of our country 30 years ago, and now how it has been changing continuously. So question to you, Suresh ji, is that now a lot of new knowledge has come into the country. Even in this panel, what has been shared by Vinod Kumar ji, Prasad sir, Anil ji, Ajit ji, is already showing a shift in what is happening now and what should happen in the future. So please, question to you, you have a current view of the National Building Code. You have a current view of the bylaws and the enforcement mechanisms in the country, in Kerala. So specific to Kerala, in your opinion, what can change in that can drive a multiplier effect? Can it be something that Anil ji does, writes something in the contract, or Ajit ji write, or Prasad ji? Please share your insights, sir.
Thank you very much, Abhishek. I think each one of them added the dimension rightly. Over a period of time, even the Kerala Municipal Building Rules and Kerala Panchayat Building Rules, the latest one has come in 2019. The National Building Code came in 1970, then 83, then the 2005 version, and the latest version has come in 2016. Over a period of time, with more and more of intense development and mixed-use development, taller building coming in a large way, large area development coming, etc., the documents and the provisions, regulatory environment, and the standards that are required to deal with that has also undergone a phenomenal amount of change. Just between the 2005 version and 2016 version, and I'm very lucky and fortunate to be associated with all the 4 versions of the National Building Code, being the vice chairman for the last 2 versions there. And this requirement that we discussed now on the compartmentation has come in for a detailed coverage in the 2016 version, 2005 version to some extent, but 2016 version in a very large way in clause 4.5 of the part 4 of the National Building Code. So part 4 of the National Building Code covers both what is fire protection earlier, which was part 4, is now life and fire safety, as you rightly said, Abhishek. So now the whole thrust is on life safety and fire safety of the building. And therefore, requirements are brought out in a very, very comprehensive manner. And what, as already indicated by Prasad, large number of the state implementing agencies, even though the building code is not a mandatory document, and the mandatory regulatory document is the building rules and regulations, which is under an act there, because they are mentioning the NBC provisions as part of the building regulation in the body of the document itself. What's happening, those guiding or mandatory requirement becomes recommended requirement becomes mandatory already. So therefore, indirectly, the NBC provisions on part 4 on fire safety and part 6 on structural safety automatically gets implemented. As he rightly clarified, it is on part 3 on open spaces and road width and other related one where they go by the municipal rule, whereas all contents in respect of the fire protection requirements, they strictly go by the NBC. That's where the situation is coming over there. And therefore, it's a techno-legal regime where a technical requirement covered in the part 4 of the National Building Code has become as part of the reference coming in the building regulations of KMBR or KPBR, or for that matter, any building regulation development control the other part of the country becomes a mandatory document. And that's one reason why the contents of the NBC is gone for increasing scrutiny. And you'll be very happy to know that every part of the building code requires amendments for the changes in technologies and new developments coming over there. And part 4 is one which is very eagerly looked forward by everybody, the user, the builder, the fire protection specialist, MEP specialist, and the connected people over there, including not only fire safety, but structural safety people also, because structural integrity of the building comes an important aspect during fire also, column, beam, slabs, etc., etc. You know it. I don't have to open that. So that's increasingly improving better now. And therefore, the type of involvement that's brought in over there, as rightly brought up by Prasad, I like that what he made a mention. It is not doing that in the planning level by Vinod and the team there, or by Ajit over there, and doing it implemented at the level of a completion certificate and occupancy certificate. You have to ensure they are done. Not enough. But they should work during the performance of the building there. And therefore, NBC has got the new part 12 added called assets and facility management, which was never there in any other code there. What happens to the building 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line? So you brought in that requirement of, especially on the fire safety, there's a big detailed checklist. What is that you got to check continuously 24/7 or once in a week or whatever to keep the things functioning for a sprinkler or a fire curtain or whatever. That's an important component. That also brings periodic renewal certificate, which is also mentioned by Prasad. And that's also an important aspect that's coming over there, because many times, as it depends upon some of the occupants like a hotel or hospital or school and other one, where sensitivity of the occupants become, they are not able to move faster, their ability to, so there are some of those things which require special conditions on that. And there are so many requirements. I thought you'll give me about 2 to 3 minutes on what are the compartment provision in the National Building Code. If you give me the time a little later, I'll open up in 3 minutes on what they are. But because your question, I'm giving an answer. Things are going much, much better. That means there are 3-4 areas coming: the builder, the consultants, namely architect and the MEP consultants, and the one who complete the whole work, and the regulator. So compliance for all the people on the left side, on the builder, developer, architect, and the MEP people and the construction team there, to do it in line with the provisions of the rules and the NBC, and enforcement to be done through enforcement mechanism by the fire authorities, or even a third party fire checks are also being done in such particular case there. So that is increasingly coming in place, and there are a lot of concern.
You're giving a sneak preview to a very exciting door, which I really want to open widely.
Yeah.
And we've got 10 minutes, and I'm going to divide these 10 minutes. I'm going to give 5 minutes to you towards the end.
Yeah,
where
I
I'm
wanted
going
to just
ask
briefly,
you-
I want to briefly tell about the
Yes.
10 important requirements in the NBC on compartment layer. I won't take more than 5 minutes.
Yes.
When you give
yes,
the time, I'll take it.
I'll give you 5 minutes exactly after 5 minutes.
Okay,
And
fine.
I'm going to ask you, I'm going to ask the audience, the current panelists, a simple but probably tricky question. In our country and in Kerala, we know that there are levels of projects. You have a hospital which is aiming for JCI accreditation, and it is top when it comes to implementing many fire safety provisions. You have a high occupancy, high risk mall or an airport coming in. And these are the projects which have very stringent specifications.
Yes.
They will call for compartmentation. They will call for compliance to an extent that they will call for international certification, saying complying to American standards or British standards and have certification and listing. Whereas there are lots of other projects as well. And so question to you is, how can we start bringing this shift towards our country in India on two grounds? One, can we call for compliance like certification and listing of fire doors, partitions, through penetration fire stops, and so many other passive fire solutions to Indian standards? You know, we are all talking about the National Building Code. We have a long list of test methods, which are Indians, Swadeshi test methods. How can we, as an architect, sir, or as a developer, or as the fire department, or a consultant, specify saying we need certification and listing, stringent compliance, inspection, stringent compliance by accredited inspectors to Indian standards? Is this something that can be done? So we have, I'm going to give this 5 minutes before I come back to Suresh ji and ask that question. I will rephrase for everyone. So Ajit ji, over to you, and then Anil ji and Prasad ji, if you can share some insights before I move to Vinod, sir.
Thank you, Abhishek. I think the most important thing we should understand is that there are 2-3 points. See, I always feel, apart from the compartmentalization, and also you're talking about other type of passive programs, I think the very important thing in especially like places like mall and things where thousands of people are moving at the same time, on the floor, on the escalators, on the elevators, things like that. I think most important thing I always notice, which I try to give in all my projects, is excellent visibility to the place of way of visibility. The directional visibility is so very important in such place. Number one.
Signage.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and number two is that very important is basically the compartmentalized area also has to be specifically should be seen in the chart, which are the compartmentalized areas. That's also extremely important, because if I am in a compartmentalized area, if the fire is on the other side, I can be sure, because there is no, what do you call it, panic is avoided. The panic is avoided. So these are some of the, as an architect, I would advise. And
okay. Yeah. This is a great insight, because this is something that has come over the last 5 events as well, is that the need and clarity of the fire and life safety plan.
Yes.
Anything, Prasad ji, Anil ji, that you think you would like to add to how this can come about from tomorrow?
It's very true. Like Ajit sir said, you have to educate the people also, the habitants. You know, if it is an apartment, you have to educate the people that what is to be done if a fire breaks down, and how do you compartmentalize yourself and the rest of the people. So those educations has to be done periodically or regularly. Then only this whole idea will work out. I think that is the only solution we have to have, you know, in place.
So we are very happy. We are very happy that we are already doing it. Prasad sir, and then to Vinod sir, what is it that we can change tomorrow in specifications for those projects where we can ensure fire safety just by changing specifications. Do you think it is possible, considering that you both have an hand on specifications?
Prasad first, maybe.
I think Prasad sir is frozen a bit. Probably he's having an
So
internet
let Vinod
connection.
finish.
Hi, Abhishek. Yes, we need to specify and the first level and ensure that the project begins with a good specification wherein we carry this particular data in the design itself, and the architect as well as the MEP consultant together ensure that the contractors who come on board are well aware of what is in the specification. When I say fire stop, many people may not know that. So a pre-bid meeting, a detailing which that goes in the tender along with the specification will surely help the contractor to incorporate that in the costing itself and make sure that he does it during the implementation process. And then the supervision process also will help from the client side to make sure that the contractors and the team install these fire stops or these compartments in a way that it helps the passive protection of the building.
Thanks, Vinodji, for sharing these insights. As everybody has been pointing that more education, more discussion is something that will lead to this. I think we are having probably some internet issues with Prasad sir. He's coming in and out.
He's come now.
He's come back. So Prasad sir, we are waiting for you. Prasad sir, if you're back, please unmute yourself and share with us after unmuting what is it that can be done tomorrow in terms of bringing about this change.
The main change I wish to notice that the management is permitting public entry into the particular building beyond its capacity. That is the main drawback.
Okay.
Festival season. The permitting of occupants, more and more.
Occupant load increasing.
Okay. This is very interesting insight. And I think this is something that can be addressed using the bylaws and mechanisms. I'm going to start reading the questions and I'm going to give those precious minutes to Suresh ji because we're just reaching the end of the hour. Suresh ji, in about 4 minutes, if not 5, can you share what are the changes that are coming in the code that we are all getting excited about and that will drive better fire safety? Your time starts now.
I'll make it less than 4 minutes. I think compartmentalization is the most important component to limit the spread of fire and smoke. If we understand functionally, why are we doing that particular thing? So once we do that, the design has to ensure the spread has got to stop, not only at the floor level, at the wall level, at the roof level, at the junction point, opening the ducts, 5 ducts, so many ducts and pipings go over there. Each one has got to be done that. So sealing of all the openings of shafts and cable holes become an important component for effective compartmentation. It's a very important one. And then next to the wall, the fire barriers also need to be done of the right material. And any fire compartment, we would like to have a minimum 120 minutes fire resistance waiting to come in a way. And part 4.5 of clause 4.5 gives in many minute detail. But the most important, the smallest of the compartment is about 750 square meter. And the largest of the compartment is about 3,000 square meter. But as you rightly guessed over there, many building, hospital building can be only 1,800, some institutional building are only 1,125, basements are 2,000, mercantile and the mall building, you want a compartment coming at a closer one over 2,000 square meter, assembly building like cinema, theaters and other one, again require compartmentation in a very large way. And this is very important that you are able to provide this requirement rightly, either through passive design by creating the physical separation with the right level of fire resistance rating, or through active mechanism to come over there. Basement is an important component where basement with parking is about is as much as about without parking is about 2,000 square meter, and basement with parking is lesser. Now, it's very important, especially for the right level of fire detection alarm systems should work. So I heard what was indicated by Vinod, that you have to have the linkage coming between the detection and the alarm system equally for them to act accordingly. So whether you put the fire curtain or whatever, lot of provisions are indicated there in the NBC for a fire barrier, using a fire curtain, using K23 sprinklers and all the things. And now it becomes very, very important in the context of the e-vehicle. So e-vehicle, where all we can provide. Can you put in a total car parking, e-vehicle also to come there, or a separate compartment to be done only for the e-vehicle to be contained so it doesn't spread on that? In which all basements you can put the e-vehicle. Only one basement is not permitted, even though parking can come in other ones also. So that's a very, very important component. Our idea is that within this compartment, in 60 minutes time, with all this automatic deluge system that you have over there, you'll be able to control the whole thing, by which time the other mechanism will come into play, evacuation will take place, and this one doesn't. Metro station is very, very important to deal with this particular thing. And also emergency power backup, data centers and various other areas where a lot of power generating sets are there. You've got additional compartmentation so that from that, whether the transformer or various other related one, it should not spread there. So what has happened is the very detailed requirement that's come over there only on compartmentation. What is the space to be done at the architect's level, at the civil engineers level, at the level of the MEP level? All these are identified in detail. All that is required is to do compliance, compliance, compliance. Then enforcement becomes much easy for the fire authority like Prasad's and team. When they come over there, they find these are all identified in the checklist, which is identified in part 12 of the NBC to dealing with that. I've taken slightly, I'll stop at this time, but I'm sure more questions will come. There are about 17 odd points are there. I try to only talk the most important areas which requires to be done. And everybody, it's a multidisciplinary area of decision making. It is not a one person there. Architect's role is important. The civil engineer's role in terms of walling material and the fire resistance and all that. Equally important is the MEP consultant's role, which will be coming over there dealing with fire protection. So all the three have to put their act together. There has been tal mail, if I may use a word, between all of them working together for you to ensure. Coordination and integration is an important component. They've got to work together. I'll stop at this time.
Thank you, Sureshji. Thank you very much for underscoring what the Forum of Critical Utility Services stands for. Is this Jugalbandi, is this integration of all different aspects of the building. It's fantastic that you were able to very quickly summarize so many things. I'm going to start reading the question. I'm going to start with the first question, which I think Manoj Singh from DLF has come across a couple of points, apart from the fact that he's wanting some recommendation on a fire and life safety course. He also came across a problem, and I've tried to answer after I read that he came across a problem of fixing gas detector. And as per one OEM, we can install the same at the ceiling below 300 millimeter from the true ceiling. And as per another OEM, we have to install only at 300 millimeter from the gas termination point. And as per the consultant, we need to go as per the OEM. So Manojji, I'm going to try to answer this in a more generic way, because not just the detector, you will come across these kind of problems in many aspects. And I often give a techno-commercial answer because it is both sides that have to meet. It starts with the responsibility of fire safety. If the OEM or the distributor of the OEM is claiming something to be done, then it has to be their responsibility and liability. And so please make sure that before you even go to code A or code B or code C, which gives you a better guidance, or you move to a specialist consultant, it is important that you take the liability written down. I'm going to move to another question now from Jay Gupta. Please clarify on how to ensure and verify fire rating of fire doors under installation in a large super thermal power project, where the vendor merely placed a sticker on the hinge side of the panel to prove a 2-hour fire rating, no other engraved mark or test certificates available. So Jay, thank you for this wonderful question. And I think the answer is in the question. If we are wanting to buy something and that product says something else, it is not so. If you want to buy a bottle of tomato juice and you can see that this is orange in color and it's not even red and it just says tomato juice, then it is your duty as a buyer to say, this is not tomato juice, please give me better proof. So today we are in an audience, we are in a time where certification and listing as a tool is available online. There is a certification directory which is online. You can enter the certificate number and see where the product is coming from and what the product looks like. You can cut open a door to see what the buildup is in the listing document. So if that is not the case, then you are talking of a large thermal power project. This is extremely high risk, and this assurance should be called for.
Ullas has a good question. Ullas.
Shall I read this, Sureshji? Ullas' question, or would you like to?
No. I thought it's an important. Fire curtains are electrically operated. So how can it be passive protection? So he wants to know operation depends upon the availability of supply, helplines and electrical circuit, geared motor. Any defect in these components can definitely affect it. Therefore, a manual operation facility or what should be. I think it's an important component on it. We got to give a reply on if during fire.
Ulasi, very important, very valid question. I will probably have a part answer to this question and not a full answer. Fire curtains are relatively new in building codes and how building codes view of various countries in the world view fire curtains. So your first view is very valid that it is not a pure passive fire solution per se. And I know that Orient Fire and many other fire curtain providers are around and available to give you a detailed answer to this question. But I must say that many mechanisms are evaluated on how the fire curtain will deploy in case of a fire emergency where the power is not available. And there are many methodologies, because the aim of the fire curtain is to have a product or a material that will contain the fire. And this is the passive fire protection capability. And the second aim is being able to deploy. And the deployment could be, as Sureshji mentioned, could even be a manual deployment that can be done. So I think the question is very valid, and depending on the context and the occupancy type where it is installed, these things should be verified by mechanisms that are available to verify this.
And Srinath has a good question on smoke. Smoke as an important issue. How important is smoke as a killer? And I think it's an important area within the compartment. I think the code clearly gives information on distinctly place air intake and exhaust systems even during that particular place, how to deal with that. So I think smoke is, just like as I said, compartment is not only for the fire spread, but also smoke spread to be contained. And therefore, provisions in that particular to take out the smoke is also an important component of the ventilation. I think one more question coming is from Mr. Ghosh. Would you like to take that? Any of our team member, either Jui Datta Ghosh, all our buildings are protected by glass fencing for safety purposes, but fire department saying that steel fencing is not suitable for fire protection. Question is, if any of the immovable fencing is not using on opening, how to protect its life or suicide attempt or whatever. I think it's a larger question of, I don't think any problem is there where glass is provided. The opening of a 10% opening is already put in the NBC now, in the latest version. It was not there in the earlier version there to take care of not only for the firemen to come inside, but also smoke to go out. So that provision in the 2016 version is an important. Would you like to add something on that, Abhishek?
No, I think your answer is very appropriate. And the only thing that I would like to add is the fact that the context of the statement of the fire department could be limited to something different as compared to the context of the actual application where it is being used.
Yeah.
So this is very important to understand that any code or code-based view or code-based attempt is specific to a solution or specific to a problem. It cannot be generalized everywhere. And I think we must understand specific to the application and then take a view on how this goes. I'm going to take the last question before we can move towards...
Okay, you take it.
Yeah, I'm going to read out the last question, and maybe Sureshji, if there is a question that you feel, you go ahead. I'm just trying to see that Dominic has come back looking like Liaquat.
Kuriako's question is very simple. In high-rise building, how do you ensure fire rates? I think very important, only one answer I can give is, depending upon the fire severity of the building, being a residential building, a commercial building, a school building, a hospital building, hotel building, or an office building, or a retail mall, whatever, the fire load becomes from 1 hour to 4 hours. Our idea is the fire rating of the column, beam, slab, and everything should be in with the fire severity. Everything is coming. So therefore, the building code has gone to very minute detail, and the whole world over, which is also accepting that, whether the NFPA document in United States or Canadian code or any code that matter, depending on fire severity of the building, your fire resistance rating should be there. So the structural integrity of the building is ensured that the column, beam, slab will be able to hold on, even if compartment is provided. That's a small answer. It's a topic on which we can give very detailed advice depending upon the contents between structural member, non-structural member, finishes member, and services member, which are also linked in the building. I'll stop it there. Then you can take the last question you want to take, Abhishek.
No, I think we are very good. As I started with
maybe
saying,
Bhagwati can be given answer. Bhagwati Iyer wants a question on that. What do we do for makeshift and temporary hospitals, like what happened in COVID, sir? There is a document available, Bhagwati, to deal with, ever since the famous Haryana fire on the tent-related one came over there, Supreme Court itself wanted to have for temporary structures and other pandals and all that, what needs to be done. So there are requirements, even in respect of the makeshift temporary hospital, there are fire requirements coming which are already provided for. I just thought I'll bring that out. It's available. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sureshji. I think I had missed that question, and thanks for bringing it
out. I think towards the end it was coming. Bhagwati's question was coming towards the end. Anything more there? I think noted. Thanks, Jay Gupta. Integration between passive and active, Jay Gupta. CFD analysis may help in net efficiency. I think he has got the answer to the question he has raised. He has got the right answer. Yeah. Correct. He has got the answer. He has raised the question. Then Srinath's last question is checkered system, shaft closing, accepted by the NBC. Is checkered plates system for shaft closing a tested system? I think so. But would you like to? That's the last question, Srinath's question.
I think I would like to take the context of the question a little better. But in my opinion, when someone says tested, it just raises my eyebrows because, a test could have been done on a slightly differently procured, differently installed solution as compared to what is getting installed. So yes, I think in principle it is accepted, but I would like you to raise a lot of questions to make sure that it is the same thing. What is and you have all brought out some very, very interesting insights. As I started by saying that we have more than 200 years of experience in this panel. And I think if we have an engaging audience like we have right now,
Very
and
engaging.
if we don't have the time as a bound, we could probably talk for 2 days.
I know.
And I think the subject is such that it calls for such a massive amount of investment of time. But
Yeah.
I would like to not only thank the panel, which we have thanked a lot, but I would like to really thank the whole audience
Yes.
and attendees who have come in. And before I pass to Liaquat Ali, who's here as the chair of the Focus Committee, Fire Committee, I would like to call upon all the people who are listening. Please give us some feedback. Please vote back for this whole series to come back. We did 6 events. We would like to do another 6. And please give us some thoughts on how we can continue this education series and talk about it. Over to Liaquat ji for the closing remarks, sir.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Abhishek, and thank you, Suresh Saab, our president of Focus. And thank you, Ajit sir, for providing an opportunity to Focus to take our series on passive fire protection to Kerala. And thank you all the panelists for being there, giving your time and giving us such an insight into the fire protection passive you've been doing in your type of works. It's been quite a schedule, Abhishek. Thank you for taking off your time and energy to conduct a series of 6 webinars countrywide. This was our last leg in Kerala. And I would like to thank our President Suresh Saab, such an energetic person to bring out all the codes and standards and giving the right insight to the people who have been our audience.
Thank you. Thank you.
Suresh Saab, we will continue this series maybe sometime later during this year, next year. We will have some more series.
Even expand the topic, maybe a little different, not just being compartment. We will take some other segment where people will be interested. We'll take that.
True. Yeah. And a lot of serious questions being asked by the audience. And one such question was about the gas detection, how to put the detectors right.
300 millimeter.
Yeah, so actually you can, the latest trend is to do a gas dispersion study. So you can't just keep the detectors wherever you want. You need to do a gas dispersion study to see how the gases are going into the ceiling or to the room, how they are dispersing once it is discharged. So you need to do that study and then you place the right places so that your detection will be faster. So such way, I mean, we have codes, we have NBC has put in all the standards, I mean, all the points to be taken care while having a building. Only thing is our implementation and the right type of products to be used, which are tested and having a right type of certification, which can be used.
Testing and certification.
So the cost is not, there are very cost-effective solutions also available with the right certification. The only thing is to use the right products. And we would like to thank all the audience and our major sponsors, Orient Curtains, Orient for Fire, then Shakti Harman and AIS Asai Glass. And to all, the thanks to our event chair, Dominic, for conducting such webinars. I mean, not only on subject of fire, for all other subjects through Focus. Thank you, Abhishek, for all your efforts to do this knowledge series. We hope we'll
and the wonderful panelists, all the wonderful panelists, including Prasad, representing all
Prasad ji, Anil ji, Ajit ji, and Vinod ji. Thank you so much. Suresh Saab. Thank you. Thanks
Thank
for
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Looking
Thank you.
forward to a
Prasad's participation in particular, representing the enforcing fire regulatory authority and also as a user, it gives a lot of happiness. And I'm aware, personally worked with him in the Kerala State Fire Service, how to use the NBC provision as part of the operating rules. I like that. He has translated those requirements into an operating regulation, which he said a checklist there. Chakos Abhishek said you'll take later. We didn't have time to do that. That is an interesting exercise. All those requirements in part 4, he has converted that through a checklist format to tell his own fire officer what to look for and what not to do and how to ensure that. That's a significant, because I deal with so many fire services. This contribution by Kerala Fire Service is a unique one. So I thought I should acknowledge that, Prasad, in particular. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
sir.
very
It
much.
was great
Thank you
support
so
by
much,
us.
Everybody.
Bye.
Thank you all.